Live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Well, welcome back. Thanks for coming back after our pilot episode. Last time we didn't have a name.
No.
But we went to social media.
It was just podcast.
It was just podcasts, no name yet. But we went to social media, and Beth, one of my friends back from my Wells Fargo days, threw out a name, and she said, "Why don't you guys call yourself Branching Out?"
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, so we're gonna go with that. Branching out.
Mm-hmm.
And then our tagline. Oh my goodness, I already forgot the tagline.
Where real estate meets real life.
There you go.
I think that's it.
Yes. So real estate meets real life.
But if that's not it, don't worry. The marketing people will change it in the tag. It'll be fine. Just watch the comments below.
Yeah.
And it'll be fine.
As you can see, if you comment on ideas, we will take them and we will run with them. So if you guys don't like that, we will change it.
Yes, that's correct. But let's not change it too often. Because that'll really confuse people. Okay.
Yeah, it will.
No, it's awesome. And so what are we going to talk about on our first real episode? Because the pilot was fun.
It was
fun. The pilot
fun.
was a lot of fun, and but I think we ought to dig in.
Yeah, I agree.
So why don't we start out with maybe getting to know each other?
For sure.
I mean, you and I know each other.
We
very
know each
well.
other. But
I'm just not sure that they know who we are, which I'm not really sure is that important. They didn't know me, but. So why don't you go head off?
All right.
You take the lead. Tell us about you. Who is Christina?
Yeah. So I'm Christina.
The amazing Christina.
I've been with Branch now for about 2 years. Actually met Greg, I think 2 years about this time.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Kind of networked my way to you.
Weirdest thing ever.
Super weird. I got into real estate investing, I guess like 3 or 4 years ago. I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So anyone who wants to get involved in real estate investing, I highly recommend reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
We don't get any commissions on that.
We don't.
So you know, that's just a...
Yep. So Rich Dad, Poor Dad and Psychology.
Now, if Robert Kiyosaki wanted to spiff us a little, now I'm in.
So we're going to have to tag him so he sees this.
Yes.
And maybe he will.
That'd be awesome.
That would be awesome. And maybe he could be a guest.
Ooh. Yes. Yes.
That would be so cool.
That would be awesome. And what was the other one?
Psychology and Money.
Psychology and Money, another great one.
That was another great one. So read those 2 books, and that is what launched me into thinking I needed to get out of the rat race. I was making a lot of money working in private equity. Mm-hmm. It was great. However, I still was living paycheck to paycheck. And then when Robert Kiyosaki brought up the concept of not living in the rat race, I was like, this is genius. I need to become an entrepreneur, and I need to start investing in real estate. So that's what I started to do. Another thing he says is to start going to real estate investor association meetings. So I started going to those. I guess to be around other investors.
Like-minded people.
Yeah, be around like-minded people. So I started going to those. And then immediately, I think the very first one that I went to, a woman was selling a subject to program. And she made it sound so good. She was like, "You'll make $1 million in a year." And I was
Why is that always the lead line? Like, everybody should know that $1 million doesn't buy anything anymore.
I know. Well,
inflation and all.
It sucked me in. I bought it. I did it. She was very nice, and she did like a lot of little workshops and stuff. But
now listen, we do have to put a pin in that because the subject to is kind of like it's like an industry term.
Yes.
Right. And I work for NASA. We're good at acronyms. We're good at, making up words and all that kind of stuff. So like, we're going to have to put a pin in that and come back to that.
Yeah, we'll come back to that.
Yeah. Not today, but another day.
Yep. So bought into a bunch of these workshops, and then I did a distressed housing workshop, another one that I bought into. And that one was fun. We just went knocking on doors. We actually we found foreclosures, put a pin in that, and then plotted a course around the foreclosures and knocked on all the doors.
Oh, interesting.
And I tried to get people to sell us their distressed houses. So that was fun. And then as I was doing that, I started doing that around my own house. And then I started realizing that the same people owned a lot of these houses. And I was like, okay. So called on a few of the big real estate families in Concord. And I was like, all right, I need to actually get in touch with these people. And I asked my real estate agent at the time if she knew any attorneys in town. And she connected me with this attorney, Ashley Bratton. And I was telling her what I was wanting to do. And she was like, "Oh, you need to meet this guy, Greg." And I was like, all right, cool. So I think after emailing her 3 or 4 times, she finally introduced me to you and cold emailed you. And you were like, cool, come on in, let's chat. So
always be open for networking opportunities. You never know who you're going to meet, right?
Yep. And I'm so
always
glad you
have
did.
an open mind.
So we came in, I think we ended up talking for like 2 hours in our old office in the conference room. Pretty sure you got up and were drawing on the board.
Probably
drawing on the board.
I can't sit still without grabbing a marker pen. You're right.
Yeah,
I'm
sure
very visual.
Happened.
Very visual.
And then honestly, I guess it was probably a week later, you called me and you were like, hey, you want to start a little property management and real estate investing education business? And I was like, yeah, I mean, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I will do my best. So that's how I got here. And I have loved it ever since. Every day is different. Every day is a challenge. And I'm living in my calling. So
have you learned anything?
I have learned a ton, and I'm teaching others.
Yes,
which is awesome. The more that I've been guest speaking at events, the feedback I get from people, they're like, this. One of them specifically, I was at a couple of weeks ago, and one of the girls was like, "This is one of the best presentations that we've had in our group, and we've been a group for 5 years."
Wow!
And I was like, "Oh my gosh,
that's how you roll!"
Wow,
yeah,
that's cool. So I love it.
Yeah, that's fun. And you're living in your calling. It's a lot of fun. I can see it. You're kind of you're not kind of, you are in your gift, which is fun. And then to watch you grow as an investor and to make investments and to kind of coach you through some of the deals that come across our desk and the brokerage you've been able to do and some other things, helping other investors learn and get property and get into the game and grow their wealth and everything has been a lot of fun to watch. That is fantastic. So good job.
Yeah.
Good
so
job.
Enough about me. How about you? How did you get into real estate investing?
Wow. What's interesting? I wrote about this in my book a little bit, the Rentertainment book, Tales of a Landlord, just a selfish plug. It was kind of interesting. I had a couple uncles that had done some real estate investing, and I grew up kind of on the peripheral, like not really understanding it, not necessarily being directly mentored by them or anything while I was growing up, but just kind of on the peripheral, right? And then I was working for NASA down at Kennedy in Florida, and living on Cocoa Beach and some of the surrounding areas through those years. And as a young man, you really don't have to have much. I think my car payment was like $500. My rent was $395 or something at that time. So you can see the ratio there. And so through a little turn of events, I was encouraged by the neighbor, because the neighbor was a local drug dealer, that I decided that it was time for me to broach out and like get another space.
Probably need to move at that point.
Kind of need to move. There was some dialogue there that, I just felt like it was time. And we were either going to go into business together or something. I couldn't figure out exactly what that dialogue was, entrepreneur at a young age. But, and I decided, I could probably buy a place. Like I don't have to rent. I'd rented for a while and I could buy a place. So I'd saved up my money and all that kind of stuff and went and bought a place. And meanwhile, one of my buddies was like, hey, I need a place to live. Why don't I pay you rent, like kind of all in, just $400 a month, and I get to kind of use half the house kind of thing, and a little townhome. I was like, wait a minute. So my mortgage is like $600, and he's going to pay me $400.
House hacking before it was cool.
Yeah, before it was cool. I did a lot of things before there was a term, because there was no internet. I mean, it didn't really exist. So it was really, really cool. And so he moved in with me and started paying me rent, and a landlord was born. And so that was in April, and then by November, I don't know, maybe I had 50 units or something. It was a dumb ride. Gosh. It was a dumb, stupid ride.
Yeah.
And I was absorbing all the information I could. Back then we didn't have their internet, so not to speak of. And so the information that we have today was not out there, and the mentors and the coaches and all we have today weren't there. And so I was just reading all the books, all the Make $1 Million in Real Estate, Grow, Retire Wealthy, all those kind of books, and
watching VHS tapes.
VHS tapes, man. What cassette tapes.
Half of you probably don't even know what a VHS
That's right.
tape
It had a little windy thing, so like be kind of rewind. So back in the day. So, but watching videotapes, listening to audio tapes all the time, absorbing. And then I didn't know better. I just went and did it. Like nobody said not to. So I just went out and did. Right? It's like watching a kid do something amazing, and you're like, well, how did he do that? And like, well, nobody was there to tell me he couldn't. So I just did it, and so that was fun. And really, I just felt I found my gift. And and I continued to work at NASA. I would actually work from like 7 to 3:30. Then I'd go and I would fix up an apartment or something and work till about midnight, 2 in the morning, whatever. Get off from doing that, catch a few hours of sleep, get up, go to the gym in the morning, and go back to work. And I did that forever, just doing that. And I was young, I could do that kind of stuff, and really, really enjoyed it. But it has become my passion. It really has. It's something I found. It's something I can understand. Very, very tangible. Working with the people. I mean, it was just a good time. So that was almost 30 years ago.
Yeah, I was going to ask, how old were you when you started?
I was 26.
Okay.
I was 26. So, well, actually, technically, I was 25 and a half. See, when you're that young, you get your half years going on. So,
well, I think I was
10 and a half.
I think I was 35 when I started. So I'm just 10 years behind you.
Yeah. But you're going to catch up.
Yes.
Because I made a ton of mistakes.
And you're my mentor, so I'm learning.
That's correct.
You've already done all the work.
That's correct.
So now you're just going to teach me the right thing to do.
And the goal is for my ceiling to be your floor. Right.
That.
And so the knowledge and all that I acquired over those 30 years, I want to pass on to you and our other mentees and my sons and all that, so that when you guys start, you have this experience behind you. They go, okay, well, let's not do it that way. Let's try this over here, right? And the markets change, the economy changes, all that kind of stuff changes. But there's a lot of fundamentals, or having the ability, the network, the connections, the knowledge, the information to maybe step quicker into a multifamily or step quicker into a commercial or something. Like if you wanted to explore those product types, we don't necessarily have to wait for you to gain all that experience because we're already there. So just step on in. Those are the things. I mean, these are the things we talk about all the time. And our lunchtime conversations are just really exciting. And
they are, though.
I love them.
They are.
I love them. But if you're into other things, I mean,
Yeah.
So.
I also love how people, now that we've been around for a little bit, people are starting to instantly think of us when they don't know the answer to a real estate investing question. We are the first people that I think.
Well, I think that's fascinating too, because let's talk about the organization we had.
Yeah,
right.
Let's talk about that.
So
where did the name Branch come from?
Well, so interesting. It has multiple flavors in it, multiple origins. One is it's a legacy branch off of my real estate investing journey. It's kind of my legacy play. So it's a branch off of that, and but it's also a family name, and so. That side of my family, he was a dentist. He was not just a dentist. He was in charge of the School of Dentistry and Public Health in the state of North Carolina. And so he enacted a lot of educational programs. The nurses, the dental hygienists that come around the elementary schools and like teach you how to brush your teeth and teach you how to floss and all that stuff. Well, he started that in like the 1920s in North Carolina. And so this like give back, this education, this kind of public service type flair is reflective of his mission when he did that. So my grandmother told stories of sitting around the dining room table after dinner and handwriting notes that all the school children had written in, because he had this little traveling puppet show called the Little Jack's Puppet Show, and to teach dental education. And so everybody would write Little Jack. And then all the family would sit around the dinner table and write back all the school children to Little Jack. My grandmother's name was Jacqueline.
Okay.
And so we named the puppet show after Little Jack, his little daughter. Isn't that cute? So, and then later, one of my give backs to the community was actually called Little Jack's Trees of Hope, where we actually donated Christmas trees to underprivileged families. I partnered with a guy who sold Christmas trees here in the community and just would give away Christmas trees to families and things like that. That generosity thing that we talked about kind of last time, right, to make an impact. So that branch side is from that. But he was a very good financial planner, very good money manager, very astute, went through the Depression and still built a legacy in his family through his good financial stewardship. And that kind of speaks to the genesis and what we're trying to do at Branch is to really help build generational wealth through real estate investing. He also was an investor. He built a home in Raleigh, and I was at lunch with another NC State alum just this afternoon, and he built a home in Raleigh, and to provide for his wife, he built apartments above the home. And so the main floor and the basement were for the family. And then upstairs on the second level with a side entry were 2 apartments. And he rented out to the college students in Raleigh.
Wow.
And he started that in the 20s. And when I came through NC State in the late 80s and early 90s, the family still rented to college students 70 years later. Isn't that fun?
Wow.
And so I ended up living in the basement as a rental, and then there were 2 of my buddies upstairs in the 2 apartments upstairs. But he did that to provide an income stream for his wife, knowing that he would probably die first, and he did. He died 20 or 30 years before she did, and she collected rent every month from those students and helped her live. Isn't that fun?
That is
so
fun.
He was a real estate investor and a good steward of money. So branch just made sense.
Yeah. And I mean, during this conversation, we've talked about several different ways to invest in real estate. Talked about house hacking, talked about building an apartment above, an apartment below, talked about subject to, talked about distressed housing. So there's just so much.
These are the things we talk about.
It's crazy.
Like all the time.
Yeah.
And there's not just one way. And that's what really drives me crazy when somebody says, I can't do that. Right?
Yeah.
I can't do that, or I never could, or I don't understand.
They're just not in the right mindset.
They're not in the right mindset, or they don't have the tools to understand that.
Or the team, or the mentor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's right.
The motivation.
Yeah. And what's fun is when we explore all kinds of different possibilities, whether we talk to some of our friends that do, large multifamily syndication or industrial complexes or single family investor portfolios or duplex and small multifamilies, or, just all those different product classes too. And then that's just the product classes, not to talk about the geographies. Some people find that, Texas is really booming, or people love things in Georgia, right? Not everybody likes anything in New York right now, but, California, some of those, it's that where the negative migration's happening versus positive, but the geographies play a difference too. So it's just fun to kind of compare and talk around and see what everybody's strategies are.
Yeah.
That's what I get fascinated with.
So many strategies. It's crazy. Yeah, so that was a ton about us.
Oh my goodness. I feel like
that was a ton about us. So going forward, we are going to start bringing guests onto our show.
I think that'll be fun.
Yeah, professionals in the real estate world, other real estate investors. So that is going to be really fun. So I hope everyone stays tuned and comes back next week.